Welcome back to Departure Denied, a Harry Potter Wizards Unite focused podcast. As ever, each episode will be hosted by a group of regular WU players who take part in most, if not all, events. And today's edition, we're going to look back at the 24-hour Community Day, part 2 of the Burrow Beseiged event, which just went live, the all-new Registry Page, which just randomly dropped out of nowhere on us, and of course the big story this week, the Night Bus. But let's start by introducing ourselves and tell you what our last Prestige page was. And again, like last week, I think it's going to be a bit similar across the board here. But I'm Ray Wilmot, I'm a level 46 Magizoologist, and I've just hit gold on the Picket page with just a few Mirt laps left to claim. That's going to be my first stop on the Night Bus for sure. And joining me today is...
Hi, I'm Laurie, I'm a level 49 Aura, and I've also prestiged the Central Park page to gold. Just need a few more Mirt laps to finish it off, and I need no more pickets ever again.
I'm Beth, I'm a level 35 Aura, and I just got to silver on the Picket page. Unfortunately, I still need the lovely little green fella, so yeah.
Awesome, congrats.
I'm Steph, I'm a level 51 Aura, and I've also just prestiged the Central Park page and completed it, Mirt laps and all.
Oh, amazing, congrats.
Yeah.
Did you manage to do all the port keys then? And you knew a fortress? Yeah.
Yeah, so I managed to collect enough port keys to be able just to get them all and then, walk them through work.
Excellent. That's amazing. Yeah, that's the thing for me. I think for the Mirt laps, I think there was the only problem with the port keys in the situation of like trying to kind of walk it off for some people was obviously going to be difficult. And it's probably going to be the hardest part to prestige it because the pickets were so regular. I mean, they were basically, I think on some Trace Tonics it was getting like 6 or 7 through at a time. It was incredible.
I got 15 off one Trace Tonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like literally half the spawns.
I can't believe that. That was insane. 15 blew my mind.
Crazy.
My maximum was about 3, I think.
3?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think my minimum was probably about 5 per one.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like I was saying last week, I do wish they had put the Mirt laps guaranteed in fortresses. I mean, if they already had the port keys there anyway, they might as well have done it in fortresses, and then that gave people 2 options, because, people are still going out, people can reach fortresses from home, so it would have just been good to have all options there, really.
I think they were trying to bring that sense of challenge in, though.
Yeah.
I think that's the only reason they probably didn't do it. The same way that they sort of restricted how easy it was to get all the foundables, considering it was the whole page playing games.
Yes. Yes, and I've seen quite a lot of people complaining about how resistant everything was, and it really was. It just started taking so much spell energy. Picket, for me, wasn't bad. I was getting him quite quickly, but everything else, even the Bowtruckles,
they were bad.
10 spell energy. Like, what? Yeah. Why? There was no need for it, and especially because there seemed to be less spawns of spell energy on the map as well.
So are we thinking then that potentially they're raising the resistance of some foundables up during these events and lowering the amount of spell energy that you have access to during these events? Is there kind of something underhand a little bit about this or not?
I don't know about the spell energy, but I do think they switched it the other way around. So where they made the harder foundables easier to catch, the lesser ones, because I really do think those Bowtruckles were the worst, and they're supposed to be the easiest foundable to catch. So I think they switched it, so the ones that you would probably see more of were more resistant, the ones that are rarer. I don't know about the spell energy. I mean, I found it difficult, but I don't know if it's just because you are constantly playing. It is non-stop. Well, it was for me. I didn't sleep, but it was constantly non-stop. So I don't know if it was just me thinking that there was not enough spell energy around, but like normally I may be only, fluttering in and out of there, switching between Woo and Pogo, that, I'm not really going for everything, so not really noticing if it was that much of a difference. I think you're tricking yourself sometimes, to think that it was less.
Yeah, so I started noticing during the last Brilliant event there was less spell energy for me than there had been in between, so on Community Day I paid attention, so I went out for a little bit in the afternoon for a walk, and there are a few points quite nearby that always have spell energy spawning outside of events, and there was literally none there. So I was...
Yeah, around the inns it was low.
How much was spawning, and I was thinking, like you just said, Steph, about whether or not it was just a mind thing because we were using so much spell energy, but no, it was genuinely less spell energy and less ingredients.
Yeah, because when it's not been events on, I've noticed a lot more, and I'm like, okay, so they want me to pay for it. Because I use coins and everything this time, which I don't don't do
Yeah,
generally, because I don't need to, but yeah.
I'm not quite sure if it's that they're purposely reducing those, or whether it's more to do with when they're increasing the event spawns, they are taking the place of some of the spell energy and ingredient spawns. So overall, we still have the same amount of spawn points, but they have to decrease something to increase something else. And I don't know whether they know that that is happening. I mean, I'm sure they do. There's been lots of complaints, but whether or not they can turn up spawn points, I'm not sure. Like tonight now, as soon as the Brilliant event went live, my spawns have disappeared. I've had barely...
Yeah, you and me had nothing.
Yeah, and I normally get 5, 6 every 15, 20 minutes. But nothing in the last hour. I've had 2. It's just odd.
Yeah, and obviously as well that some of us as well, not everyone, that we were actually playing Pokemon Go at the same time. So it was quite a busy Saturday.
Yes, 8 hours.
It's quite a long day, but it was a productive day. And I did really enjoy this community day in general, because I think for this, my goal was kind of trying even just to hit gold on that page. I actually managed to take it all the way, my pickets, my Rumpants, my Bowtrapples, my Demiguise. The Demiguise was a nightmare though.
Oh, I'm so glad I never have to try and collect and get one. I love the Demiguise from the films, but hate him in the game. Nope.
He's a nightmare.
Before the event, I counted, and in the last month, I'd had 10 depart on me. They were the only 10 I saw before the event, and they all departed, and I refused to use a Dawdle Draft on a high. No.
I found Demiguise actually okay most of the time, and then there'd be that odd time, and he, honest to God, would take 20 spell energy.
Yeah.
I was surprised because even though Pickett was like quite difficult to start with, and I didn't even level up during it, he got a lot easier, and he was easier than Demiguise for most of the thing. And obviously there were a lot more of him, which I was happy about because it meant I could make a decent dent in silver.
Yeah. I mean, it's all RNG, isn't it? You know, so like people say, oh, that always have this one depart on me, whereas somebody else can say, I get it first time every time, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it is to do with that. But I do think they were more resistant, and whether that's because they turned up the resist rate or because they turned down the flee rate. So normally when something would flee on you, depart, you wouldn't notice how much spell energy you would have used after that, whereas they turned down the flee rate. Perhaps that's the ones that we were spending the most spell energy on.
Yeah, because I used a lot of potions up, and like the next day I had the new page foundables come up a lot because I went out, and I had no potions to use for any of them. I still managed to get some, but not as much as I could have if I had the potions left.
Yeah, same. I ended up using them just to save on spell energy. But overall, though, I do think this was probably the best community day that they've done.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it. You could get everything on the page. I loved the fact that it was 24 hours.
Yeah.
I did like the Fortress one as well, though, but I think as a page one goes, this one was by far the best page one.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, the Fortress will always be my favourite. We had so much fun that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the page one, this was the better one. And I think it being 24 hours meant that everybody could put some time into it.
Yeah.
You know, which was good. Obviously, you could have not slept and done it all day, like some of us did. But, you know, we are the kind of people who are going to be doing that in the 3 hours anyway, really going hard for it. So it doesn't matter how long it is.
Yeah.
But
I think the rules are in place there that you could prestige that page at least once.
Yeah.
I think there was always the option to do that at least once. I mean, for some people, you know, obviously they like to do multiple times, but you could at least have done that once. You could make progress on that no matter what you did on that day.
Because they gave 15 Mertlap, and that means you could have prestige from the base page. You couldn't prestige that on the silver on its own. You would have needed to get 6 more. But for those people, they've already prestiged before anyway. So yeah, it just means anybody who was still on the base page could have prestiged at least once, which I think everybody was happy with.
Yeah, exactly. So ultimately, someone would have had some form of progress out of that, no matter what they did. Which I think is the important thing, is that like as long as you feel like you're getting something out of a day like that, it's productive and it's great. Obviously, like we've mentioned, that some of us have never need Pickett ever again, which is so weird to think. Just because this time last weekend, I needed so many Pickets, it was ridiculous. And now, after one day, I'll never need that foundable again.
Yeah.
And it's so strange to have in a position now where like that foundable is never needed. So if I ever see that on a Dark Detector session again,
You'll
I'll
see
click
him
it.
all the time now.
It's great. But finding yourself in a position now where there are certain points in the registry where you'll never need to claim that foundable again is so weird.
Unless they do a platinum.
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah. And this is an interesting point that I had this weird theory over the weekend, right? So, you know how Pokemon Go has shinies?
Yeah.
What I would love to see, I mean, I don't necessarily want a platinum page because I think doing all that again, all the way through from beginning to end, is a little bit annoying. What I would love to see is when you complete a page to completion, those foundables in the wild have, like, you know, like how the brilliants have kind of got like a purple aura around them. I would love for like a foundable to have like a silver or a gold aura around them, and then you catch it and you place it, and then on that page it's kind of got that outline around it, and you can get like bonus XP from it, you can get bonus books from it. So it's kind of like you feel like you've caught something special on that page still. So there's still a reason to keep clicking them. The shiny version of the
It's
foundable.
not obsolete.
But would you like that to be something that you can see in the wild, that's going to be it? Or do you have to click on everyone and then, like,
click on everyone.
Here's your shiny version of it?
Click on everyone.
Like your Pogo.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, Picket is going to be is always so rare anyway. That one would take a long time to find it, but yeah, that would actually be awesome.
Like I said, you'd probably see it again more now that you've like completed it. Like when from the other event, I had the self-playing harp and then got free from one Trace Sonic, and I was like, I don't need you now. Go away.
But I'm just trying to think of cool ways to like encourage people to click on those foundables again, you know, because people, I mean, like, I will click and I will claim for Pickets still, even if I see them. But there are some people that never will do that again because they think, well, I don't need that now. And you find that in Pogo.
Don't you think that people do though for the runestones?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they give a lot of family XP. So yeah, they are better for them. I was genuinely tempted to leave one Picket. So that the very next time I find one, I can still be happy that I needed it. But then I literally got my last 4 in a row off a Trace Tonic. So I was like, no, I can't leave it. I had to get it. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that's it's just a funny thing. I mean, like there will be several people now in a position with this game, having played it for however long, that they've now completed pages through to completion. And some people would have done that on this weekend. Some people would have done that before. Some people would be just doing it now. And it's like, I think we're finding a position where more and more people are doing that. And so maybe there's ways to look at making those foundables more interesting to those people again in the future.
I did notice on one of my foundables that I'd already placed, you do get a small amount of bonus XP, but if you don't know about it, it's a bit like, oh, okay, so I've just caught this, and what's the point?
Yeah.
But it was only a small amount, I think.
It says, I can't remember what the word is, I've seen it, something, completed image or something, I can't remember what it says, but yeah, I don't pay as much attention to the reward screen as I should.
But on the whole, so everyone liked Community Day. What did they get right? What didn't work so well? Is anything particularly did you think didn't work well?
I don't know. I think they were pretty fair. I 100%. I think for me, all the spawns were very even.
Yeah.
So I had all the time a good mix of everything in my area. I had trolls, I had demi-guys, I had bow truffles, I had pickets, and everything kind of came together quite easily for me. So I thought it was perfect for, they don't want to make it too easy, and I do think the spell energy for people obviously was a bit of a challenge, but then it's a challenge, it's not supposed to be kind of handed to you on a plate. You've got to kind of, be able to work for it as well when you're able to get as far as what we did. I think there was that opportunity there to completely smash it for those who wanted to smash it.
Yeah, completely.
For most people with the spell energy, it was just a challenge. I know there were some who didn't get any spawn at all. They just weren't getting any. And that has been a problem during all of this, play from home stuff. They just don't have the spawn points. But there's, they can try and help with that, but there's not really a lot that they can do to change that for individual areas, because just the way that the game is made. But yeah, it was a challenge, but I really love in our community where anybody who was running low was asking for spell energy gifts, and we were trying to get them sent to whoever needed them the most. And I also found a few people in an international Telegram chat who was running low, so I added them and sent them spell energy as well. It was really, I know that it's always a community day, but other than us sometimes meeting up with others, we don't really see it as a community. But doing it from home with our Cardiff community, I did feel like it was a proper community day for the first time.
Yeah.
We were...
Yeah, definitely.
Because normally I ignore my messages during community day because, 3 hours, you just go in at it. But because it was 24, it was a bit less stressful, and I could do that. I could look at messages, chat to friends, during the event.
Yeah, and I'm mostly a solo player, so when I do the 3-hour ones, I kind of do the same as you, Laurie, and just sort of tune out unless I'm like desperate for spell energy. But those times I've been out and like actually been able to go get the spell energy myself. And I did go out this time and had quite a lot of spell energy while I was out. It's just when you were in, obviously there was that challenge, but I think they needed that so that it wasn't too easy, like Steph said.
Yeah. Did any of you buy any spell energy?
Nah, just use the coins.
No.
I did buy 50 spell energy in the morning because I hadn't quite got myself up properly at that point to want to go out and go and get them from inns. And it was quite early, so I hadn't had any gifts come in yet. It was like 8 in the morning, something like that. So yeah, I did buy one set.
Yeah, I think for me, my max capacity is 255, and I managed to get, I think the lowest I went down to was about 108, and that's when I let Dave loose on my account for half an hour.
But some of us don't live on 3 inns.
Yeah.
Does this mean Dave's going to play Woo?
Yeah. So is Dave going to start his own account?
No. I think
Damn it.
he had fun.
It was probably the worst day to let him take over your account, though, because it's a bit hectic on a community day.
Yeah, it was only the time I went out. So when I went out on my little pogo walk, then yeah, I left it there with him and went out on that, and then it started to rain, so I came back.
Yeah.
It's very quick. Very quick.
I know, right? It was the worst day for like a Saturday. Like
Really nice weather, and then
I was quite happy because it meant less people were out.
that's there is that. There is that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm like a cat. I hate getting wet.
I do too. I can't stand.
yeah, and it was really cold as well on Saturday. I was out for a very long couple of hours walk. And yeah, I was freezing by the time I got home.
Yeah, the morning was worse because you went out in the afternoon.
Yeah, I went out
it wasn't too bad.
late afternoon, 4ish to 6, just for the last couple of hours of pogo.
Yeah.
And I needed spell energy really badly at that point. So
yeah, it was a lot warmer then because that's when I made my actual break for freedom then, and I could have said I'd given up in the morning very quickly because it was so cold and it started to rain. I thought, nope, I'm going to leave my walk till the afternoon and did the end of the event instead. It was cold.
But I thought both community days were great. Well, I can't really call Pogo as a community day, but they were great. I mean, I think they've proven now that they've got the kind of rhythm working and working from home, and the aspect of kind of been able to have spawns on your incense and spawn on your trace tonics. I think they are starting to really work well. Like,
I do think like the having everything at home, it really worked for me, and I know people do suffer with the spell energy, and I think that they could look into that a little bit more. But I think as an overall, they've got to make it a little bit challenging, and I guess spell energy.
Yeah, and I mean you can plan, can't you? You can make sure your spell energy is full beforehand. Make sure you've got some spell energy gifts ready to collect. So there is a way that you can plan for it. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect for everybody, but we do get a lot of coins from this game.
Yeah.
Not everybody can complete their daily tasks every time, but they give you 10 a day. We always get them for doing the tasks and the research and everything. So you could save your coins to buy a bit of spell energy as well. Like, I don't mind putting money into the game when I need to. I enjoy the game. I like being able to buy things when I need it. And let's be honest, if none of us are buying anything, the game is not going to survive. So, yeah.
Laurie is just funding the game.
Yeah.
So funding
on my own. But yeah, like one of our community members, Mike, he suggested that he's going to keep all extravagant spell energy gifts until the next community day and then send them to whoever needs them the most, which is a great idea.
Yeah.
I've been having problems with the drop rates for getting gifts recently, but hopefully I can amass a lot of them by then. We can all do that for each other.
Yeah, I think because, like you said, that's one part of this that really worked well. Is I think we all came together really well, and we were able to if someone said I'm desperately need spell energy, it's a hell of a boost, isn't it? That's a couple of foundables you can catch them where you couldn't before, and add a couple more of those, and all of a sudden, you're right back up again. So
Yep,
yeah.
and there were literally a few who came right down to the wire of prestige in the next page.
Yeah.
With a few
And that was the difference. Yeah,
and-
that was the difference of actually prestiging and not. So
Yeah.
But the game has moved on. As we've moved on for community today, obviously we have got another one coming up very, very soon, and hopefully they follow a lot of the similar traits that they did with this one.
Yeah.
But we're already knee deep into Burrow Beseiged Part 2, which includes Ginny Weasley and Flying Car as brilliant foundables. Lots of tourists at the Burrow at the moment. Mrs. Weasley's doing her best to tidy everything up. But I've quite enjoyed revisiting the Burrow and spending a bit of time with the Weasleys. They're a good bunch.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
I've been rewatching the film, so I definitely miss them.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to see them.
Well, it's great because, obviously with Ginny, Ginny's a funny foundable, actually. I think we found she was very resistant as a foundable in general. I don't know if you I remember that right.
When we were finishing the page, she was quite rare. And then pretty much as soon as we finished it was the time when they increased her in the wild. And they actually that was announced that they'd increased her. So, yeah. And then the dummy became rare.
Oh, yes, there's the training dummy. Yeah.
I finished Ginny and then she was increased. Yay. Yeah. Still needed some dummies and they were decreased. Like, seriously.
Yeah. Standard, right?
Yeah.
Standard.
We had the conversation today about what was like one of your least favourite foundables. And then when she popped up on the Brilliant, and I was like, yeah, actually, this one for me, she was just awful to return.
She's not one of my favourites.
No.
Put it that way.
No.
I like the character in the movie. She's great in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just
foundable.
up there in the list of worst foundables to return.
Yeah.
Love Ginny as a character, hate her as a fan.
Yeah. That's same with me with Demiguise.
Yeah. But it's funny because, obviously you got the Flying Car as well, which is obviously another extremely rare foundable that's not really commonly found in the wild. So it's a really interesting combination, those two foundables together, and then being quite scarce as well. But then you've also got the Burrow sign in 1.5 kilometre portkeys, denoming gloves, and Arthur Weasley's shed in event tasks. And Errol in the fortress, or by completing the bonus tasks, which I think is quite a nice mix. And it's actually really good to see Errol back in the mix, because I think Hedwig gets all the spotlight.
And Pigwidgeon.
And Pigwidgeon. So it's nice, good old Errol, It's nice to see you.
Good old, unreliable Errol.
We love him, really.
Made Hagrid spend a bit longer in Azkaban, because he got lost.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. I don't like him now.
It's fine, he got there in the end.
Eventually, yeah. Gosh.
But we're not going to go too much into the brilliant events on this one, because we have in the last two. But I have found that my spawns have been really low since it started. I did use 2 trace tonics, and I already placed Ginny and the car, and got a few sorting hats as well, which I love the fact that we've got sorting hats.
Sorting hats
really
are quite common, surprising.
Yes, very common.
Yeah, but you were having trouble, weren't you, Laurie? So not only with the, things not showing up generally, because I had that problem as well, but you were having the issue where, for some reason the hat was more difficult for you, and I wasn't having an issue.
No, it's not. It wasn't more difficult for me. I think it was Emma who said that she'd had 4 and they were departing.
Got a shout out.
Yeah.
Emma, shout out to Emma. Hi, Emma.
Yeah, Emma got 4 sorting hats off her first trace tonic, but I think a couple of them departed. I've had 1 depart on me so far, but I'm not using potions on them because I can't prestige that page anyway. I need to
No, I can't.
Dumbledore portraits. So
Now that's a really contentious issue, the Dumbledore portrait at the moment. Why is this not a high foundable?
Yeah.
it's crazy. He's very, very. I think he is actually the rarest foundable in the wild.
So, wait, let me get this right. It was a high foundable before. Was it a high foundable?
Well, I mean, apparently Brent never saw one, so I never saw the beam.
Yeah.
So if you didn't see it, it's not real.
So he was apparently a high foundable. Yeah. So he was a high foundable, and then he was a non-high foundable, and you still don't see him either way. So
No. He's quite common from Dark Detector as well. When I say common, we get 1 or 2 every couple of times we do a session. I do get him in Portkeys. I think that's how I've got most of mine.
Yeah,
same,
I've had
yeah.
mine from Portkeys.
But I think I've only ever had 1 in the wild.
I wouldn't quite say 1. I've had a couple.
Honestly, I remember the one was when we were in London, but that was it. That one, I remember.
It was a rainy day, 10 o'clock in the morning.
I remember exactly where it was.
But do you know what? I remember the one morning I went to work and there was 2 by the train station.
Oh my god!
2.
That's just crazy.
He likes train stations though, King's Cross. So
Maybe that's where he spawns.
yeah, oh my god!
You got
Do you know what?
confused.
We were actually at a train station when I got him first time.
We've solved it.
Went to the wrong one.
He was confused. He didn't realise it was Cardiff Central, but yeah.
Yeah, that's where we. So in future, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to hang around train stations. We're going to get dodgy looks from everyone, and we'll get loads of Dumbledores. Hopefully,
but no, I don't mind on events like this where you just get the 1 foundable that is increased. It means you can't prestige the page, but it's really nice to finish that 1 foundable, and you can't finish it 10 times over. Well, not 10, but 3 or 4 times over every time you prestige. But just the once. But that's good enough. Like when they started doing events in the beginning, they didn't quite get everything right, so sometimes they would put everything but 1 thing that you could get from a page, so they were purposely blocking you from prestige in the page. But now where they only boost certain foundables at a time, it's usually only 1 from each page, and that's fine. I don't mind that. I know what to expect. I think, right, well, I'm not going into this event even hoping to prestige this, but I'm hoping to just place the image.
Yeah, let's not talk about like the dragons when they first came out for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dragon Day was fun. But yeah, so I mean, as you say, we're not going to touch on this too much, but obviously the tasks are quite straightforward for the event. There's some nice rewards, lots of green books, which is great. So because they're quite difficult to come by. Some good dark detectors. I know they're not that useful at the moment, but they keep building a stack of them up for when we can go back out. It'd be great. And obviously the fairly elusive hermit crab shells. Some decent boxes as well, some decent bundles. I think the bonus one has got like 15 trace detectors and 15 potents, 10 Baruffios, 150 spell energies, so that seems quite good.
Yeah, the only problem with the bonus box, I noticed that it's, they put it up by 100 coins.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I don't know why. But whereas in Lost Love, Part 2, when was that one? This box was pretty much comparable. The only difference is there was 10 keys in that one, whereas there's 15 trace tonics in this one. But 10 keys and 15 trace tonics cost the same. So it's not that this one is more value, and yet it's 100 coins more expensive than that one.
Do you know when you said Lost Love then?
Yeah.
I had nightmare flashbacks of that horrible bloodlust vampire werewolf event.
That was a different event.
No, it's just like...
Valentine's one.
The Lost Love was actually a good event, but then that... Oh my gosh.
Yep. No, we don't talk about that event. But yeah, no, the boxes, they are still worth the money though. If you need all those potions and the spell energy, you are saving a lot of coins by buying it as a bundle. So it's worth it. But yeah, I don't know why they didn't give us 50 spell energy for free like they did Community Day. I mean, I know that Community Day is a bit different, but 50 for a week's worth of an event is not that much, so they could have just put it up to 50 for now.
Yeah. So there's 2 other big bits of news that we've got to talk about. So before we get to the remote fortune, which is massively exciting, we also got a new registry page on the Wonders of the Wizarding World called Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes. Whew, that was a bit of a tongue twister. I nearly messed that up there. We've got Mr. Puking Pastels Man, as well as Lee Jordan, Fred and George, and an open skiving snack box. Pretty unexpected, right?
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
But I think data miners had kind of suspected there was something coming, right?
I hadn't seen anything for that. No.
Okay. So it adds some highs and severes to that family now. But it feels a little familiar to me because we've already had Fred and George lead a page with a Rumour Requirement 5. And they've already got a Community Day coming up really soon. It was supposed to be in March. It's now going to be in May. I feel like we're going to see a lot more of them in the coming weeks. Is it good to have repeating characters in different forms, do you think?
I think they can get away with it with Fred and George because I think they're quite a fan favourite, like generally. I think if they did it, I don't know, say if they brought more of the witches in, it'd be quite random because it's not something so, like, such a prominent character. So I don't know, if they brought in characters such as Ginny and put her in a less hated Foundable, then, I think people would be happy with that, but I think it's too random, then maybe not.
Yeah. And obviously we don't always talk about the story, but if you remember, the Confoundable Charmer seems to be focusing on things to do with Harry, if I remember right. So, George and Fred were a big part of Harry's life. So having them at different parts in their life, so you've got them when they were in school, now you've got them, when they left school to open up their joke shop.
Yeah,
so having them at different periods, I can understand that happening. It would be nice to see some new characters that we haven't seen before, or even bring some of the Foundables that have been in brilliant events, like the Zou. How is that? How you say it? Zou, yeah. We watched Fantastic Beasts the other day, and I rewound it and listened to it 3 times, and I still couldn't quite get it.
Fantastic scene, by the way. I love that scene.
Yes. But yeah, so it'd be
His
nice.
eyes are gorgeous. Oh.
It would be nice to have new stuff, but I really do like Fred and George. As Beth said, it is a fan favourite, so yeah, it's great. And I think it was the best family to put it in, because obviously most people, well, not most, a lot of people finished King's Cross Station enough, or at least to gold, so that page is nearly done for them. And then the Grot page, some people have got that to gold. I know that I'm on silver. So they've had events for those two quite recently that I think then people would pretty much almost be done with that whole family. So they needed a new page there, really, for us to keep clicking on things and for it to be fresh again.
I mean, I think my argument for this was the only really new Foundables in there were Lee Jordan. Obviously, I don't think he's been in the game until now, so it's really cool having him in there. And the Pastel Man, because technically the Skyvin Snambox is Sandbox. Yuck. And that's actually in the Challenge Foundables. Technically, even though it's an open snack box, it's still kind of there. So that's what I mean about repetition of Foundables a little bit.
Yeah, although I get it with the Skyvin snack boxes, it was one of their first products that they tested in school on the students. Yeah. So it makes sense to have that one there again.
I mean, if you look at it from the film point of view, I think that scene where Fred and George go to set up their shop is quite iconic, because you're in Hogwarts Castle, there's all the exams going on, and there they are, they're flying on their brooms, there's loads of fireworks going off. It's a really iconic scene, and it's great. It's a real sort of feel-good moment, and I would love to have maybe had those fireworks as a Foundable or something. That's
we
really
got
fun.
one. We got the fireworks as the Foundable.
Yeah.
Although the portable swamp would have been fine.
Although technically that's in there too.
Yes, it is. Yeah, but I like that they've added the page. It's fun.
It's a great page. I mean,
it's very dull though, as in the colouring.
The background of the page.
Yeah.
It should be more vibrant and colourful.
Yeah, because their shop is so vibrant and colourful.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah,
a bit confusing.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's an odd background for it. Definitely.
I know that once you prestige a page, it does become clearer. So maybe that will happen when you prestige it. But yeah.
I love Pukey's animation.
I haven't seen it. he's one that I haven't encountered.
Oh, really?
Well, to be fair, I only managed to encounter Michael Jordan. Not Michael Jordan.
Great,
and which of the twins? Fred.
You've had Fred? Oh, okay. I've had 4 George and 0 Fred.
Interesting.
I've seen more Lees than I have Fred. I've seen 3. But only caught 1 because I had no potions.
It's funny how we were talking about Nemesis Foundables early with Ginny. I think already Mr. Pukey has become some people's Nemesis Foundable. I think there was a few people in our chat who were quite annoyed with him.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly.
I'm one of them.
I've seen 6 and I've got 6 actually, and I really shouldn't say this because now I'm going to jinx myself. But I've seen 6 of him and got 6. I've seen 4 of Lee and got Lee, and 4 of George and got 4.
Wow.
So I've
done it now.
Everyone that I've seen.
Well, let the curse be upon you, Laurie.
Done it. You've hexed yourself.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of George yet, and I've seen 2 Fred and one of them run. But yeah, no George at all for me. And then with the Puke and Pastels, seen. Oh, it's not actually too bad. I've seen 13. And got 8. So
yeah. It's not so bad because we have to remember that they're all high and severe on this page.
Yeah.
So yeah, and none of them are medium to low. So they are going to be that little bit harder for some people. Obviously not me.
Apparently not you, no.
Not me.
Apparently not.
Except from every single one I see from now on will depart on me.
Yeah. This was the curse. This was the crucious curse that's been done on this podcast. So.
Pain.
All right, time for the main event, the night bus. So we know lots about it, and there's some things we don't know about it. But remote fortressing is officially official, and it's coming very soon, apparently. How important is this for WoW right now? I mean, this is massive.
So important. So important.
Massive.
It's the thing literally everybody has been asking for since lockdown. It was the first thing that I saw people say that they wanted most of all. And yeah, I can't believe it's actually going to be happening.
It's going to be a godsend for rural players.
Yeah. And the best thing about it is it's not just for lockdown. It's going to be in the game forever now. Not sure if they will change anything after lockdown, the mechanics of it or anything, but for right now, it's free. It's unlimited. But I have seen some people saying that perhaps that they may start limiting it if the servers can't handle it. But for now, it's free, except for obviously the spell energy that you need to use and the rune stones that you need to use. But it doesn't cost anything to go there.
I'm absolutely going to abuse this night bus so much.
Yeah.
And hopefully try and sync up with you guys. We can give it a go and see if it does work or not.
That's my only concern, because obviously I'm not in Cardiff right now, but my main concern, and I did joke about like people taking my elites that I need for my achievement, but I'm worried that there's going to be these other players that I'm end up stuck with, and they are either not going to put in and pull their weight, or they're just going to sort of ruin it somehow.
Yes.
Because, like, obviously when I've done it with you guys, like, I can communicate with you and I trust you, but you could, there's so much we don't know still, like you said. Like, we could end up with 3 auras.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's going to be a way to try and match us into different, a more even split of the professions or anything. And yeah, people are going to abuse it. Please don't. If you're one of these people thinking you're going to, don't do it. If you're low on spell energy, just don't go in the higher chambers. Don't sit there and let other people waste all of theirs. Go into the lower chambers, like Ruins 1, 2, and if you happen to be with people then, it doesn't matter because it won't cost them very much spell energy to get through it. So that's fine.
There's going to be a massive adjustment period with this.
It is.
It's huge on the scale of what this will do to change the fundamentals of the game. I mean, for instance, in most games, there's like a class-based system where like you make sure that there's at least one of each class in your party. Is that going to be in place here? I doubt it. And then you've got situations where obviously, like Beth's just said, you know, you're going to have situations where people are going to immediately dive on the elites because they need their achievement and, you know, they're not being weakened properly, and then people are going to end up dying and they haven't got a magizoologist in their party to revive them, you know, and then they end up running out of time, or you're going to have people dropping randomly. The adjustment period of this is going to be hectic. It's not going to be easy. And and
especially add in any server problems they may have in the beginning. So while I really love that we're going to do it, I'm trying not to expect too much from it in especially the first couple of weeks. I mean, we have to realise this is a massive change to the game, and it is going to have teething problems. But as long as you're willing to, you know, fight through that for a little bit, I think it is going to be the best feature that they've ever put into the game.
100%. Yeah.
Because
yeah, despite the problems you're going to get, you're going to have a lot of good stuff coming out of it as well.
You really are.
So.
And I think, you know, as we said, when we were chatting about it earlier, just starting on the lower levels first, the lower level chambers, you know, just until you can kind of get to grips with it, and then work your way up maybe, because you're going to be joining with different people every time, and as long as you know you can get through comfortably, you know, some of the tower chambers, for instance, like even the higher tower chambers, you could probably manage to get through one of those on your own, even if you had 4 other people who weren't pulling their weight in the chamber. You could probably still, you know, at worst, potion it off, or, you know, sacrifice a runestone then maybe for those.
Because I mean, this
if you start on the lower ones, just try to get to grips with it first.
That's the huge thing about this as well, because I think we need to bear in mind, and I think a lot of people do need to bear in mind, that this will be the first time some people have ever actually fortressed before. Some people, this is a feature of the game they just are not acclimatized to at all.
Yeah. Some people don't have one in range they can get to. Yeah. Or if they have, they've played it a few times, but as a solo player, and as we know, solo play and group play they're like 2 different games almost. What you need to do to be able to play in a group is completely different, because you have to make sure all the resources are used to help the entire group, not just yourself.
Yeah.
So and there will be adjustment, and you're going to have to maybe do a little bit of research. If you're listening to this podcast, you will be, because we will tell you in a minute. But you need to do a little bit of research on your own profession, on how you can use that effectively. And also, anybody who's already knows it, be a bit patient with people, because they are going to be learning.
Yeah.
And if they're trying, then that's fine. So
yeah, because just a quick thing, because I'm solely a solo player for the most part. When I did do that One Fortress meetup with you guys, it was that sort of adjustment, and I think people need to just keep that in mind, because especially with it'll be a slightly different system anyway. I think it's just the case of being mindful, and like you can have people of different levels, like they've only got so far in their like tree and like done so many lessons, especially if you've not done a load of fortresses, you might not be as far through your profession's tree. So
they shouldn't be too high up on the chambers then though as well. So obviously everybody can only fortress up to where they've already unlocked, but some people are going to use this to help pull them through to the higher chambers. And, we do that with, like, for instance, with Beth and others who have met up only a few times with us rather than every time. We've helped pull them through up to Dark 5. But we can communicate and tell them what to do while we're there in a group.
You sat there right next to them.
But as far as we know, there's not going to be any tool for communication with this.
No voice chat, which is a big, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, I'm dead. Revive me.
It was a lot of that, wasn't it, Steph?
Yeah.
I'm dead, help!
Yeah, Beth, give me some...
Revive me,
right.
revive me.
There's no text.
Yeah.
No emojis.
But yeah, I mean, each profession has different hexes and charms to use, and different things that they can do. And if you're going to do a Dark 5 chamber, really you need at least one of each. And usually I would say 2 auras and either 2 magis and a prof, or 2 auras, 2 professors and a magi. You need a good mix there to be doing them. So we're going to talk about a little bit of what each profession can do and where is best to spend their focus. We don't have a professor on with us, so hopefully we give the correct advice. I have played with a lot of professors, so I know exactly what they can do to help me. Okay, the first profession I'll talk through is Aura, because I've done all my lessons on Aura. I've been Aura from the start, so I know that one quite well. So we're proficient at Dark Wizards and Death Eaters. Okay, so that they are the things that we want to be battling every time. We will take those as Auras. We are neutral against werewolves and pixies, but neutral against werewolves is still very hard. They hit hard, so leave those to the professors. So one of the best things that you can have as an aura is First Strike, which gives you plus 50% critical power if you hit a foe with 100% of their power, the first hit. You might not have the plus 50% to start with, but you can work through and get those on the lessons. So that's a good one. It's worth then taking a first hit at every foe, even if you're not proficient against it, to try and get that extra crit hit. And one of our best things that we can do is to give focus to other players. The Magizoologists and the professors always need more focus. Normally they can tell you what they need, but they're not going to be able to do in remote. So my advice would be to give the focus to the professors first, and then when you've got some elites on the screen and they're pretty much the last things left, start giving your focus to Magizoologists so that they can use their charm to raise everybody's proficiency against elites. Okay, we have the Weakening Hex, which can reduce foe power by up to 50%. You want to be only using those on elites, dangerous and fierce, so 4 and 5 star foes. Don't use them on anything less. It's better to spend your focus elsewhere. The Confusion X, which lowers the dodge, defense, and defense breach by up to 60%, is really, really good for Urklings and Pixies. But you don't want to be using those on low foes either. So only on Imposing, Dark Wizard, and Urkling, and then Dangerous and Fierce Pixie, Werewolf, Dark Wizard, and Urkling. Don't use them on spiders, they do nothing to them. So that's pretty much the aura. They do have a 0 focus one, deals 1 to 3 damage. The only advice there, you use it, but do not use it as the first hit on anything. because then you don't get that extra critical power.
And then obviously then you've got Magi-Zoologists. So Magis are proficient at spiders and feelings, apparently, Laurie.
my autocorrect corrected Earthlings to feelings, but Magis are also, they're healers. They help with feelings too.
They do help with feelings, yeah. But no, that is supposed to say Earthlings, so autocorrect strikes again. But yeah, so Magis are kind of like the healing class in the game. So obviously where Aura is kind of like the DPS dealer, the damage per second, Magis are the healers. So one of the key things obviously Magi-Zoologists can do is a revive charm, which basically can bring players back from the dead. That's why it's so crucial to have one in your team, because you will probably die quite often in the early stages. So if you have someone there who can bring you back, it's really, really crucial to have at least one Magi in your party somewhere. And that is one focus, so that's super, super low as well. And that's a really interesting point I'm going to come to in a minute, because it also compares to the stamina charm, which is actually, you might initially start, well, this is quite interesting, because when I was first playing as a Magi in Fortresses, I probably used that more than I did reviving, because I just thought it'd be better to heal players consecutively. But actually, as I've played more and more over time, I've been using that less and less, and actually just letting players die and then reviving them because they come back with full health. So
the stamina charm, not worth it. Let them die.
Yeah. I know that sounds a bit crass and a bit harsh, but seriously, it's worth it.
Maybe the only time to use it would be perhaps if somebody is battling the last foe. And you've got the spare focus. It's quicker to give them some more stamina than letting them die and go back in.
Yeah. And then Laurie alluded to it earlier, the Bravery Charm, which is actually used, so that's a massive 7 focus. That's a real whopper, and that's the biggest one that Magi-Zoologists can have in their arsenal. But what it does, essentially, it increases all of your team power against elites. So, and elites are what you're going to find a lot more of in the higher chambers. You're not going to find them too much up to, I'd say, probably about Tower Chamber 1. They're not so common. Then, and as you get into the Tower Chambers, they start getting more frequent. Forest,
unless you're incredibly lucky.
Yeah, I mean, you can get them in, even in Ruins 2 and things, but
I can
don't have to, they're going to be easy. Normally one shot, so you don't have to, put anything on them anyway. So it's really only as you're getting into the Tower Chambers that elites are going to start giving you a bit of trouble.
Yeah. And another key point with the Bravery Charm as well, Magi-Zoologists have a maximum of 12 focus. You should only really use the Bravery Charm when you have a maximum focus. And I'll get onto that very shortly. Stamina Charm, as we've mentioned, 2 focus, restores a maximum of 15 to 30% of stamina. As you sort of mentioned, it's not really worth using. It can be in a pinch, especially if you're a bit short on time towards the end of a chamber. So if you know that, if the difference between dying is actually going to be more time consumptuous than actually healing someone, then it might be worth doing. But generally speaking, as you've got plenty of time to mess around within the chamber, it's always better to revive rather than to heal. The Mending Charm is 0 focus. Again, that's a very minor thing, which I don't think I haven't used it for a long, long time.
No. It's good to get the achievement of using 3,000. What was it? 3,000 of your charms or hexes in a fortress.
Yeah. But it's a 0 focus thing, so you can't expect a lot from it, and it's there, so you can always do something in a chamber if you've got no focus. But that's why it's so important for auras to provide focus to Magi-Zoologists, so that position is, you're never in that position. Now, the big one is you've got to keep your focus above 5 for Become the Beast. So if you look at your Magi-Zoology tree, halfway down, there's kind of like a salamander-type creature, and it's called Become the Beast as an icon. And that essentially means when you've got if you've only got 5 or more focus, it increases your power by plus 40. So it really massively improves your damage output. And there's one thing I will say for Magi-Zoologists, they are not the strongest fighters in your party. They have the highest amount of health by a landslide. I mean, they've got something like 512, 517 health off the top of my head. So they are tanks. They can take a lot of damage. But they don't dish the damage out just as well. So having Become the Beast on is so important for that. And as I say, watch your stamina for that though, because if it dips below 4, you really do take a bit of a damage hit on.
No, that's focus.
Focus hit, yeah.
No.
But yeah, Magi-Zoologists, great class, love it to pieces, and yeah.
Yeah, and watch your stamina as a Magi, because if you're the only Magi, nobody else can revive you.
Yes.
So make sure you stay alive. So have some health potions going in to make sure that you're the one who's reviving yourself, basically.
Basically, just remember the Bee Gees if you're on your own. stay alive.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
God.
And then that leaves Professor.
Yeah, so, okay, with Professor, they can be one of the most important as well. Well, everybody's important, but they have some, things that are really good for the team, the whole team. For instance, they are proficient against werewolves and pixies.
Yep.
And I know at least one person who despises werewolves and will never, ever fight them.
I don't know anyone on this call who does that.
Don't know what you mean.
Don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so the best, I think one of the best charms that they have is the proficiency charm. It's very high, again like Magi's, it's a 7 focus charm, but that increases the team proficiency by 16 to 44%. So anything that you're fighting that you are proficient against, you get that up to 44% boost against them. That is, you really do notice the difference in the higher chambers. So again, auras, give your focus to professors right at the start so they can get that in for everybody from the start, basically. And then they've got the Deterioration X, which costs 3 focus. That one reduces the stamina of a foe by 10 to 40 when it attacks you. So when it attacks you and you use Protego, it kind of does a rebound on them. That's really good for any professors who like to do solo battles in the lower chambers. It means that they can do a fortress without using any spell energy. It's a bit time consuming, but it's a way to get through if you're low on spell energy. And then you've got the Protection Charm, which is 3 focus, and it increases a player's defense by 16 to 30%. The first player that you want to give that to is a Magi. So Magi zoologists need to be protected, they need to stay alive to keep the rest of the team alive. So as soon as you've got enough focus for that after the proficiency charm, give that to your Magis. And then obviously if you've got some more, you can start protecting yourself or anybody else. Auras are very weak. We don't have a lot of stamina. We take hits very hard and we go down fast. So maybe shield your auras too. But then there is the Mending Charm, which is not that great. It restores 2 to 4 stamina.
Very similar to the Magi.
It's a 0 focus one. It's one to use just to maybe get that achievement for the 3,000 strategic spells. Professors have conditional skills that raises their powers or defense. So they have to have impairments or enhancements. So for instance, some of them might be 2 enhancements to have a higher power. I'm not exactly sure of the whole tree. You can look through yourself to see what it is that you want to aim for there. But with the enhancements, things like your charms do count. But another thing that people don't realise counts are potions. You can have a Berefio on, and that counts as 1 enhancement. You can even have a Dawdle Graft on. It doesn't get used in the fortress, but it does count as an enhancement. And then impairments are the hexes, for instance, the auras, one where they are lower in the power or the defense. So some of your skills will need 2 or 3 of those on. So pay attention, have a look through your skill tree, see which ones you want to aim for, and then use potions as necessary, or you can hex them yourself. So is there anything else I've missed there with what you think each profession should be looking to do?
No, 100% you covered everything.
I do like to be thorough.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's just got to really know what they can do, because I guess when you are going to be dropping into fortresses with other people, it's almost going to be expected from some people that you're still going to play the same way you would with your friends, unless you're in a fortress fumbling about with other people who are in the same mindset as you, which you may get in the lower ones. I'm thinking, people who are on the really low ones are just in there, just trying to get their chambers up, really.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that, like I said, it is going to be different. For instance, I never use health potions, even in Dark 5s. In fact, I never use any potions, even in Dark 5, with our group that we have.
Yeah.
And we barely have to speak to each other about the game while we're playing, because we work really well together. We've been playing for nearly a year together from the start. So I think that we're going to have to use a few more health potions than you normally would, because your Magi is not always going to know that you're dead. If they might not be checking very often. So actually, that's another thing for Magi zoologists. Remember to check in the lobby, see if anybody is
down, basically. Yeah.
To revive them. make sure that you're doing that, and check what energy they're on as well, maybe before you go back in, how much stamina they got left, so then you can kind of guess how long it's going to take them to go down. So there's going to be a little bit different to if you sat around the table with your friends doing it, because no communication.
Well, that's an interesting point, actually, because I've mentioned how we don't really use the stamina charm too much, because it's not so much we prefer, because we can coordinate more openly and tell like when people are dead. But when you're in a situation where you can't speak to that person, you might actually find that you're using that stamina charm more. Yeah,
but again, I don't think it's worth it, because you can get 2 revives out of it than the stamina charm.
Yeah. I mean,
and especially if you don't have that very high as well.
It's definitely more stamina focus consumptive.
Yeah.
It's much better to be using revives if you can, but obviously when you're in a situation where you can't be sat in the lobby when every second counts.
There's things like the invigoration drafts. I haven't brewed or used those for a long time. They do give you extra focus, so maybe have a couple of those, just in case you're in a situation where you either don't have an aura with you, or that aura is not quite up to speed yet. They don't really know that they have to keep giving you focus to be able to help you to use your own charms and hexes. So maybe have a couple backup just in case. Actually, that's another thing. If you look at each foe before you battle it, it will tell you how much focus it's going to give you. Some are 0 focus, some are 1, and they can be up to like 3. So try to go for the ones first that give you that focus, so it builds everybody's focus up really quick. So that would be something else to look out for.
I was just going to say about the droughts. I use them as a fill-in professor. So even if you wanted to move on to one that you're, say, weaker against, they can still help, even not being an aura. So I guess it is going to take an adjustment period. So my best advice would be stock up on potions.
Yeah. I mean, the wit sharpening potion is not something I use anymore, because I always have a magizoologist with me to be able to use that bravery charm against elite. But again, you might have a magi who either is not quite sure how to use that or when, or isn't using it as soon as you would like. I mean, try to wait as long as possible. Don't just jump into the first elite that you see. I know that everybody wants it for the achievement, but it's really, if you're in a high chamber, it can be the difference between failing and winning that challenge. Because if you go in too quick and you're, taken down really fast and you're not getting through the elites as quick as you could with that bravery charm active, you're going to run out of time.
Yep.
So wait as long as you can. But if the magizoologist hasn't used it, then use a wit sharpening potion, because that will help you to take down those elites.
Obviously, a lot of people haven't even mastered their class yet. So I mean, there are some people who still don't know the full spectrum of what their class can do in the game. So there will be a lot of people learning the game for the first time. There'll be veterans. What you'll probably have is a lot of veterans probably leading parties and kind of organising things a little bit and trying to get people to kind of work together and things. So there will be some of that in there, but I think it's always important to be self-sufficient going into chambers at the moment, especially since you can't buddy up with friends for the time being.
Yeah, and another thing, you might see some people who are very high level, but they don't seem to be doing as much damage or going through things as quickly as you would think for the level. And that could be because a lot of people are starting a second profession now. They have a lot of spare spell books and restricted section books and scrolls, so they're starting on a second profession. They might be using that second profession. I mean, don't do that if you're going to go into a Dark 5 and you know that you're not quite good enough, because that's not quite fair.
Quickly change over.
Ray has got a professor as his second profession.
Yeah.
I don't think he's quite Dark 5 level on that yet.
No, I'm not quite level 14 with the professor yet, but
remember, so even though you can look at somebody and go, oh, they're a level 50 magi, they know what they're doing, it's fine, I won't bother using health potions. Be aware that they might not actually have that revive charm up to the fullest yet.
Exactly.
So they might not bring all of your stamina back. So keep a couple in reserve just in case.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Obviously, we know fortresses quite well, so I'm not really sure, and I've never really played solo. I always have at least Ray with me. So if there's anything that we haven't covered that you might have a question on, especially if you're a solo player who's now going to be playing in groups, then feel free to leave a comment or get in touch with us.
I mean, we could literally dedicate a podcast to fortressing, because there's so much to talk about, so many strategies, and we could literally sit here all day talking about it. But hope some of this helped anyway, and and good luck. Let us know how you get on, because really interested to see how people are faring in fortresses. Very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I could sit here and talk for an hour about how happy I am to have fortresses.
I think as well, if people are really worried about fortressing, I'm hoping you still have that start button so that if you really did one solo and you didn't want anybody else joining, just quickly go, for the start. But then it depends then if you've joined another group. So again, it's a bit uncertain really how it's going to work. But yeah,
it's going to be a game of how quick can you press that start button.
Yeah.
And it's well worth building yourself up as well. I mean, if you really are new to Fortune, to really genuinely start from the top and work your way down. It's weird, isn't it? You feel like saying work from the bottom, work up. Work from the top and work your way down.
Yeah, so
work
yourself up the chain, the numbers. But yeah, have fun with it as well, though. Obviously, we've talked about things that you shouldn't do, but that's only for people who know what they're doing, who maybe being a bit selfish. If you're genuinely new to it and you're just learning, I'm sure people are going to be patient with people and try to help them. So yeah, have fun and just try to watch what others are doing. I know it'll be difficult because you won't be able to communicate, but you can watch and see. You can, for instance, click on, when you're in battling, you can click at the top. It tells you what charms and hexes have been used against that foe. Yeah. So you can learn a little bit that way as well.
Yeah, and obviously seeing people's professions, that's obviously on their symbols as well, and it's just really paying attention. You probably just need to pay more attention to, fortressing on your own or fortressing in groups of people that because you just know each other's strengths. But, for each one, you're really going to have to look to see who you're in with to know and, just to kind of gauge really what abilities they may have.
We're almost a year into the game now. Widely speculated there'll be a second set of lessons when we hit the first year. So you get a couple of months adjustment period now to get used to how that first set of lessons work. And then obviously things will probably change again and have to be rebalanced when another set of lessons do eventually come in at some point. So
yeah. We may even get new chambers in the fortresses, you never know. And I know that we've had the witch in previously for Halloween, and yet we've never seen her again. So we might end up with new foes. I would love to have some kind of boss foe that we all have to take a hit at, like a turn-based thing.
That would be cool.
I secretly hoped the Basilisk would be that, but the Basilisk was quite flimsy, I found, at Halloween. So I was hoping that would be the boss.
I mean, that was great for the Elite achievement. We all at least got the first one for that, so for the 100.
Honestly, this opens the game up in exciting ways, I think. And when the friendship, obviously, United comes up as well, I mean, it'd be great to be able to buddy up with your mates and find some way to communicate with your friends, whether that's voice chat or whatever.
And I think exciting. Eventually they may, they rushing this out as quickly as they can. So there might be some features that they can't put in straight away, but eventually they could make it so that you could do private lobbies with your friends.
Yep.
Wherever you are. You all visit it's all as well Hogwarts Castle Fortress is the only one that you can visit via the night bus. So
good old night bus.
Hopefully the servers can handle it in the beginning, because I'm not going to be coming off it for days.
Nope.
I'm not convinced.
It sounds like they're going to roll it out to the higher levels first.
Yeah.
Bit like Pokemon Go do that with their features. They always roll it out to level 40. Over the last year or so, they've got really fast. So now it rolls out sometimes within an hour to the whole player base. Others, it's been a couple of days, but obviously with Pokemon Go, they probably have better servers because they have more players. Wizards Unite, there'll be a few, maybe hiccups with their servers. For instance, on Community Day, a lot of people in the UK and all around the world, but 3 p.m. BST, they had a bit of server issues. I didn't really notice it, but some people couldn't get back on for an hour, and that's because America woke up. And they started playing.
How dare they wake up?
Yeah.
But basically, keep an eye on your screen for that night bus icon, because at some point it's coming, and apparently it's coming very, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yes. Obviously, Orange Wizard doesn't know for sure everything, but he has said that he thinks it's coming later this week or early next week.
Just don't trust the Niantic soon.
Yeah, don't hold him to that, because he said soon in the next update. So I asked, did he mean update the full update that we get every month, or just the smaller ones? And he said no, because we've literally just had an update last week, so it is going to be in the smaller one. And talking about that update from last week, we finally got half distance port keys.
Yes, finally.
And it's really good, because they don't come in at 5k and then it's already 2.5 done. It comes in at 2.5k. That's what it says. So yeah, finally got it done, and so far I've managed to open a few.
I finally got the hang of the sock trick, so at least I'll have to do that less. My arms are getting tired.
We don't talk about the sock trick.
Yes. How
It's needed for some of us.
Explain the sock trick, how you do it.
Is this going to be an SFW?
Well, I have to take my phone case off to start with. Just got to spin it round a bit.
Just spin it.
And you need a long sock, you said.
Yeah, well, I've got an S10 Plus, so yeah, I need a long sock.
And on that socky note, that is going to do it for today's show. We hope you enjoyed our Community Day conversations and chatting about fortresses, and we really hope that helped you out a little bit. It's exciting because it's going to open it up to many more possibilities in the future, so stay tuned for much more on that in the coming weeks. Massive thank you to you all for being part of the show. Stay tuned as we look at the rest of events in April, which is almost coming to an end, my gosh, and chatting much more about Wizards Unite in the days and weeks ahead. For now, thank you for tuning in. May your foundables never depart and fortresses always be favourable.